Everyone.
Hi, Brenda.
Yes, I hope you can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Wow, thank you. I'd like to bring greetings from House District 29. My communities are Auburn Hills, where that great water park is at, the night amphitheater. Yes, I was there the day they opened it. It is a fantastic venue and it's only taking up a small amount of space, but it's a beautiful place for families and children to come to and just play and have a good time. That's night amphitheater right there at Riverside Park. My other communities are Keagle Harbor, Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake Village, and of course, Pontiac. I'd like to talk a little bit about education. First of all, I want to give a great shout out to Senator Rosemary Beer because between the two of us, we tag team. We do work together. We get things done. And we just did a Pontiac School District Board of Education meeting where we presented 200 backpacks to our homeless children in the district. And by the way, Pontiac School District encompasses about 7 communities including Auburn Hills, parts of Auburn Hills, and parts of Silver Lake. So Waterford as well, and West Bloomfield, I believe, and Bloomfield. So Pontiac School District, when you say Pontiac School District, you're not talking about Pontiac proper. You're talking about all the cities that encompasses Pontiac School District. And Senator Bear was able to give an update on appropriations where we were able to bring them in excess of $2 million to the school district. So this is the kind of work you can do when you tag team. Senator Bear on the appropriation side, I'm on the policy side, and together she and I work back and forth and back and forth for the best interest of the children in the district. Let me see what else I want to say. We did that. On a personal note, Senator Bear and I were able to bring about $250,000 to Pontiac School District and the Pontiac area. Not only just Pontiac School District, but we also focus on our college children and our workforce between 25 and 40. I was able to get about $200,000 for through PDC to work for a workforce development program. Unfortunately, the pandemic struck. We were not able to get those funds yet because we're still trying to balance the budget. Let's not talk about balancing the budget. We got until the end of this month. But these are the kind of things you can do when you work as a team. And Senator Bear and I work as a team. On the legislative side, and that's where I am, excuse me, on the policy side, that's where I sit. I sit on the Education Committee up in Lansing. Was able to get the first bill on the from the policy committee, the Democratic Policy Committee, to come out of committee, House Bill 4483. This was a bill that was brought to my attention by several stakeholders in the community saying that our young people need to have cursive writing. They need to be able to read and write cursive. Well, I was pleased to say last week we were able to get that out of the House of Representatives. It's on its way to the Senate. And if it's approved by the Senate, it will go to the governor's desk to become my second law that I've been able to obtain since I've been in Lansing. I am really, really, really pleased with what you can do when you reach out to people and you can work together. Sort of like Minister Cathal James was talking a minute ago, about this unity, I'd like to talk about unity. And since this pandemic struck, members of our community, and I'd like to give a shout out to some of them. That Jason Dixon is working right now with a technology program that he's trying to work to broaden the technology infrastructure with some people, with some stakeholders from the NBA, the National Basketball Association. Carlos Cross and Sean Whitehead. I can't talk enough about Carlos Cross, Audrey Cross, who had the program where we were feeding hot meals to people in our district. Not only in our district, but like I said, areas, Lake Angeles is not ours, or Lake Orion is not ours, and Waterford is not ours, but people come to our feeding that we were having. Unfortunately, and it ended today. But this is a collaboration between for helping other people enhance for hope and the crosses and the work that they did. They came to us. They brought with them members of the PDC, Gloria Hurston Span, Gloria Ford, Loretta Loretta Coleman, and Debbie McNeil. These four ladies have come every single week, twice a week, to make sure that we meet the needs of our community. So this is what I'm talking about. When you take 200 backpacks to our homeless, And in the backpacks, that included things like socks, gloves, things that normally would not come in a school backpack drive. We recognize what's going on in our community, and what is most importantly, we're in touch. We had volunteers. We did a yard sale, parking lot sale about a week ago. We had volunteers from over, all over. Not only just Democrats, we had Republicans come up too. It was a bipartisan effort to meet the needs in our community. So, to what Miss Kathy James was saying, these are the type of roadblocks you need to mitigate in order to make the situation better for everyone. Okay, so I'm pleased to say that uh, another initiative that we're kicking off right now. Now, listen, this is very important because we recognize the need for our young people to have opportunities despite their socioeconomic conditions or the community that they come from. They must have opportunities. So, up in the legislature, I noticed there was a shortage of what I would call minority district interns, people who can come up there and learn the governmental process. There's actually a shortage because of funding of having civics programs in our schools. It's not just Pontiac, it's nationwide. So one of the things we realized that we can do is we can reach out and get this. This is the good part. I learned this from taking the kids to Japan. Catch them when they're in high school. Catch them when they're in high school. You know, these kids, you will be surprised how engaged they are in the governmental and the political system, but they don't know how to have their voices heard. So what we did, we started a boot camp. It hasn't officially kicked off yet, but we do have 6 or 7 interns right now, mostly high school students, but we have a couple college kids too. And what they're going to learn from this point right now to the point where they're hopefully get a job in Lansing as a staffer is how the political process works. Okay, and yes, there are partisanship back and forth, but that's the way it is. That's the way it is. We're in an unusual circumstance right now in this presidential election. But if our children are given the opportunity, if they're given the opportunity at an early age before they become biased, then they can matriculate into the governmental and political process with the tools and skills they need to survive in that environment. They can look at issues that we have right here in Pontiac, like why don't we have a park downtown? Why can't we have a education center where children can go to? One of the things that was brought to my attention 6 years ago, maybe more, was using the Phoenix Center as an education center. How great would that be? To have it right there, where our children can have a place to go. We need to invest in a state of the art library. We need to invest in schools. Parks, recreational activities for our young people. We need to invest in our small businesses. Right now, downtown Pontiac, there's an opportunity to bring a lot of support in businesses where our young people can look at the downtown and possibly the Phoenix Center as an education unit, an EDU, with everything the young people need. We need to invest in our young people, okay? We just need to invest in our young people. When we took the 7th and 8th graders to Japan, yeah, it was awesome. I have to tell you, because if you know anything about Japan, it's one of the most literate countries in the world. So for our children to go over to Japan, 11, 12, 13-year-olds, learn the language, learn the culture, study in their schools for 2 weeks, it shows you the ability of what our children can do if we just open that door. That's all we have to do. Now, see, I totally understand what happened with the education system since 2010 because of being up in the legislature. I was able to pull the records. I was able to pull the votes. I was able to understand why their Pontiac School District became the school district. But with looking at the things that happened wrong in the past, we have an opportunity to do what's right for now and the future. So we need to look at what we want to do and envision. You know, if I'm a 12 or 13-year-old, and I call the young lady's name, she was actually 17. Her name is Amma Russell. Amma Russell and her friend Eva was out there at the Children's Village protesting overnight to free Grace. Okay, these are two 17-year-olds. Okay, they put the entire program together. I don't know how they got me and Randy out there in a tent to stay over there overnight. Some things you shouldn't do when you get a certain age. You shouldn't stay in a tent overnight on the ground. But we stayed out there with these young people, and within days, Grace was freed from Children's Village. And if you don't know what happened with Grace, she's the one that went to Children's Village because she did not complete her homework. They do not understand socioeconomic trauma that goes in communities that are impoverished, okay? But it shouldn't be a penalty on our children. So I think I'm gonna gotta give a shout out to all these organizations, two in particular, Dave Coleman, what he does in the inner city, and Buddy France, what he does in Auburn Hills. Each week they join a myriad of people who feed our community, and this is something that is sorely needed in communities that are facing economic challenges like Pontiac. So I wanted to give that shout to them, and then let me see if I forgot anything else. We work collaboratively with the superintendent of the Pontiac School District, but they're not the only ones. We have two other school districts that we work with, and that's Avondale that covers Auburn Hills, and West Bloomfield that covers Kego, Sylvan, and Orchard. We have an opportunity here to make a difference in the lives of these young people, but in order to do this, we have to look through their lens. We have to see how they're fueling their future, and we need to become that conduit that gives them opportunities to exceed in a global economy. So once again, I'm very blessed to have Senator Bear as a partner up in Lansing. We are going to continue to do great things as policy-wise and appropriation-wise as we're allowed to right now. And that's basically, in so many words, what's going on in Lansing, what we plan to do, and we're always open to hear suggestions from our stakeholders, especially our young people who are about to matriculate out in the college or in the workforce. So, Monica, was that good, or do I need more?
Yeah, that was awesome. I just have a quick. We'll be transitioning to Katie Davis, who's joining us here from Kaboom, which is all about play in cities. You're well familiar with that. We had a conversation about that yesterday. When also was on with us earlier, we discussed our conversation with you and how you were exploring potentially going on to the early childhood committee. Can you give us a little bit on that, because those two things will kind of converge in a pilot program. That's what we're working toward.
Yes, last year I was given the opportunity to travel to New Orleans with a group of stakeholders from urban communities of Detroit, Flint, and of course Pontiac. And it was an early childhood forum, okay, that's nationwide. And the chairperson of the Early Childhood Caucus, which is Representative Latanya Garrett, will be leaving us at the end of this year. I was chosen to succeed her, okay, and I have been involved in these meetings where different states come together. This is just not a Pontiac thing here or a Michigan thing. It is national, where all these stakeholders from the early childhood community is coming together and looking at issues that affect early childhood. So I'm on the learning curve of that. You know, I've got a little bit more knowledge than I had when I went to that convention, but I'm excited. I know I have a choice between that and another committee that they want me to sit on, and I love them both. But early childhood, this is an area where we can really affect the learning curve of our children as they're going into K through 12, whether it's public or charter. You know, children learn very, very fast. When they're toddlers, they pick up more information than we do in a lifetime because they grasp the information. Now, if we're able to affect the learning curve of our preschool children and fund programs that will help support this, their learning growth, then this is a great opportunity. I'm glad that I'm looking at as being the caucus chair, and if I'm not the caucus chair, but the committee chair for early childhood, and if I'm chosen, I would love to be more engaged in any program and model right here in our district, and if not, if it's outside of our district, I would love the feedback so I can get a ground perspective of the needs of our children from birth to 5 years old. You know, and that's a lot. We just passed one out of committee where we were looking at making sure we have proper testing for children who are hearing impaired. And these are children between the age of birth and 5 years old. We've learned that if we give them the proper tools that they need, they can learn. But a lot of times, our parents don't even know their children are hearing impaired until they start seeing dysfunctional behavior, which is related to them not being able to hear. Nothing wrong with the child. It's just the fact that they're having difficulty hearing. So it's a huge opportunity, Monica, for us to look at an area where we can impact the learning curve before they get into kindergarten and start that 12-year learning curve or 12-year plus. So, yeah, I'm excited. I will let you know whether or not I'm the one chosen for that caucus. But if I'm not chosen for it, I will probably be on it.
Okay. That's awesome.
We'll do it anyway.
Yeah, do it
Let's
anyway.
do it anyway. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to get away from education. There's something about me and education that's kind, okay?
I know.
It's called mud spitting.
Yes, as you were the president of Pontiac School District and all kinds of other.
Yeah, it was during the time that I was president of the Pontiac School District where I went to the superintendent and gave her this unimaginable proposal. Listen to that word again there. Unimaginable. Nobody thought that we could do it, to our middle school kids. All of these things that you put and say, no, it can't work. No, it's negative. No, it won't happen. And thank God to the superintendent. She gave me the opportunity. And I remember the board's words. I was on the board. I was president. And this is what they told me. Yes, we support it, as long as we don't raise the money yourself. Okay, and in the board's defense, we were coming into that or coming out of the consent agreement. And the laws, I know now, the laws are very stringent in Lansing of what we could and could not do. Okay, so the board was correct with what they said, but thanks to the community. Now listen, Monica, this is a good one. Thanks to the community, it takes a village. We raised enough money to take those 11 children to Japan and finance their airfare, their clothing, everything they need. And it took the community to do that. So when we talk about what's not happening in our community, then all we have to do is just do it. Just do it. Our community is great. Pontiac is great. I've learned a lot in the 23 years of being here in Pontiac. And I know what we can do if we just say, okay, yes, we know Lansing has got all these restrictions on us. And yes, we know there's all these policies. But the whole thing of it is, let's just do it anyway. Let's just do it anyway. And I tell you, Monica, if you could see, and I've got lots of videos
I'm
here.
doing cursive for your other effort.
What?
I'm doing cursive on a sticky note for your other effort.
4483. Because
The mouse. I don't have my stylus, so it's pretty chunky. But here we go. We also have cursive function on this platform.
it was the only bill that made it out, House Bill 4483. And I'm so proud because, see, I can read that. And I realized my granddaughter couldn't because she didn't have cursive. So she couldn't read the letter her dad left her.
That is so important. There's so many neural connections when that they've tested between when we're typing versus writing in cursive that we're just losing so much of that. That's such a powerful effort. If anything we can do to highlight that, we're really thankful for your efforts on that.
Well, if I could just leave with one really strong ask of our community, anybody that's watching this video, please, we have to mitigate the what we can't do, and we have to propel what we can do. We can do anything that we want to do. I know it's hard. I know it's hard, but it can get done. And we just definitely need to have faith that our young people will succeed. All we have to do is open the door for them.
Absolutely. That is so awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're so welcome. So I'm free to go back to work.
Okay, you are free. Yes, we'll take we'll gather some questions and then share them with you. Maybe you can respond in another format.
Okay, thank you, Monica. Thank you, everybody. Blair,
Thank
Jim,
you.
everybody. Bye. Bye, everybody.
Okay, now we're so excited too that we have Katie Davis from Kaboom joining us.